The Beast That Changed the Way Man Lived by Brittany Haddon. Contrary to what you might think, horses have changed our history. When man first domesticated the horse, he had no thoughts for the future and what was in store for his species. The first man to domesticate a horse would never have dreamed of the society that sprung from his discovery. The horse became a servant, a messenger, and a beast of burden. Many new inventions were inspired by the work that horses have accomplished. This animal was the only four-legged animal to change the way man thrived, battled, labored, and played. Horses, or rather their ancestors, were found to be from the Eocene epoch. Scientists say that was about 50 million years ago. The primordial horse, or Eohippus, was considerably smaller than today's horse. The name Eohippus refers to the era that the horse was from. In Latin, Eo means dawn, and hippus means horse. The first horses that resemble modern horses were supposedly born in North America about 3 million years ago. These horses were very swift, and as a result, they found it easy to migrate to other places. Possibly around 11,000 BC, the Ice Age ended and humans began to change. Man learned the basic crafts and trades of a successful civilization. They learned how to domesticate plants and animals. The artisans learned how to weave cloth, craft pottery, and construct metal tools. In the fertile river valleys, the first temples and cities emerged. The first calendars were created, and the wheel also. As man settled, civilizations arose, and the need for a powerful, fleet, smart, and willing beast became predominant. The oxen were slow and heavy, and the donkeys were stubborn and bad-tempered. The people were at a loss. Where would they find such a creature? This was solved when the people first domesticated the horse in 3,500 BC. Shortly after, the people began to learn how to ride. Many ancient cultures began to use the horse as an instrument of war. When the horses pulled the wooden chariots, they provided a fast way to charge the enemy, and it provided a way to become more elevated than the common foot soldier. The horse also allowed a stable place for archers to shoot arrows at the enemy, and for cavalry to throw spears or to plunge their swords into flesh. Between 500 and 400 BC, the saddle and the stirrup were invented. These helped the riders in and out of battle. The Persian Empire was the first empire or civilization to use horses as messengers. Various other cultures used this method, such as the Romans, Arabs, and Mongols. The Romans went so far with this method of post that they invented a hippo sandal to prevent their horses' hooves from wearing down so fast in their damp climate. The hippo sandal was a flat metal base with a rod sticking up in the back with a loop at the end. This loop was used for string to go through and tie around the horse's leg. Even though their Roman ancestors advanced this mailing system, the Europeans of the 18th century AD complained against it. The only person in that time who even attempted to fix this was a theater owner named John Palmer. He showed his method to the British authority on August 2nd, 1784 at 8 a.m. He proved that mail was carried faster when in a carriage than when it was carried by a post rider. Part of this idea was the fact that public stagecoaches ran on schedule. The horse became less of an important creature when the automobile was invented. The horses became only beasts for pleasure in sports, not a beast of burden. Writing in 1902, a Vermont resident observed, "In my stable, my horses took the arrival of that automobile much to heart, and 5 of them almost died with some form of distemper the next month. My hostler did almost as much kicking as his 4-footed charges. He insisted that he had to hunt for the horses in the hayloft, because they invariably went up to the feed spout every time I started the engine in the stable, and when I asked him to wash the automobile, he fainted dead away, and revived only long enough to give notice of his departure." Just like in the days of old, horses are sparse. This is not due to the lack of horses on the globe, but rather due to the fact that horses are not often used. Although they are not exploited as instruments of war, messengers, or modes of transportation, horses still hold a special place in the world's history and its heart.